In sleepy Willow Creek, image was everything. Beneath tidy lawns, uglier truths festered. Faux community enforcement toughs, emboldened by an HOA chief's bias, decided a black teen biking home looked out of place. They mistook vulnerability for weakness, and badly misjudged the strength waiting ahead. Drained from drills and pedaling alone, he seemed an easy target. What they never considered was the household behind him. A father tempered by decades of federal work, sharpened by real danger. When intimidation turned hands-on, counterfeit power smashed into the authentic kind, igniting unforgettable consequences. Before we dig deeper, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and hit subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you won't want to miss. Late sun stretched shadows over suburb streets as Zion pedaled home, legs burning pleasantly after practice, hunger already nudging thoughts toward dinner. His favorite hip hop thumped through earbuds, tempo syncing with spinning tires over smooth asphalt. Sweat tickled the back of his neck, despite cooling air. His practice top clung beneath his backpack. A cold shower, then his mom's lasagna. Perfect. Familiar homes drifted past like a calm suburban slideshow. The Nguyen place with laser-straight hedges, old Mr. Barker's sun-faded garden gnomes, chalk swirls brightening the Thompson driveway. Zion turned onto his block, practically tasting dinner when he saw them. Two men planted across the sidewalk, wide stances, squared shoulders, blocking passage like a deliberate human barricade. They wore black tactical vests, bearing community enforcement in bold white. Behind them stood Lydia Whitfield, arms folded, lips curved in something between a smile and a sneer. Zion's stomach sank. He coasted, slipping out earbuds as the big one, close-cropped hair, flushed face, threw up a crude stop. His vest strained against his chest. The name patch read ROY. Zion's heartbeat climbed, but his voice stayed level. Is there a problem? The slimmer one, eyes like ice, drifted left. Dean, said his tag. They were bracketing him. Lydia advanced, wedges tapping, composure lacquered over something mean. Reports of suspicious activity, she cooed, fake concern dripping. Residents noticed an unfamiliar youth lurking. Lurking? Zion's fingers tightened on his bars. I live here. Coming home from practice, Roy snorted. Sure, kid. Show ID. This is my neighborhood, Zion repeated, heat rising. 3 years now. Mrs. Whitfield knows Lydia's brows climbed with theatrical surprise. Do I? So many new faces lately. One can't be too careful about security. The dean edged closer, palm hovering near his hip. No clear weapon, but the implication screamed. Lady asked for ID, he said. Let's see it. This choreography felt practiced. Zion's thoughts raced. Not cops. Their gear looked cheap, like online cosplay. Still, two grown men, boxed positions, made his skin prickle. I'm 17, he said, meeting Roy's scowl. Cedar Ridge High. Basketball. You can read the jersey. Anyone can buy a jersey? Roy sneered. Maybe you stole it. The claim slapped him. He heard his dad's caution about staying calm, never gifting anyone an excuse. Anger still bubbled. Stole it? I'm starting point guard, he said, voice wobbling. Coach Henderson can confirm, or any neighbor. Since you're so invested in safety, you'd know your own street. Lydia's face stiffened. Mind your tone with our security, she snapped. They protect community values. Community values, Zion echoed, bitterness leaking. Roy stepped in close. Coffee and something harsher stung Zion's nose. Listen, smart mouth. ID now, or we'll have a problem, Dean circled behind. Bike's probably stolen too, he added. Zion's pulse thundered. That bike was a birthday gift he'd assembled with his dad. Learning gear ratios, cable tension, brake feel. The insinuation blurred his vision. This is harassment, he said, voice trembling despite control. You're not police. You can't demand my ID. Lydia brightened, triumph peeking through polish. If you've nothing to hide, why so difficult, she sang. Seems suspicious. Roy lunged, clamping Zion's wrist hard. Caught red-handed, Lydia announced, savoring it. Air thickened. Zion's bike wobbled as Dean closed in. A cage of bargain vests and borrowed authority tightened, breath turning shallow and hot. Let him go. Now the voice sliced clean through the standoff. Calm, precise, instantly obeyed. Zion recognized his dad's command tone, the one from federal days, steadying suspects in rooms alike. Raymond Lawson stood at their driveway's mouth, gray running shorts, moisture-wicking tee, posture relaxed but unyielding. Despite casual clothes, nothing about him read casual. His eyes mapped the scene piece by piece. Roy's grip loosened, but didn't release. Official community business, he growled, confidence leaking. Stay out of it. Raymond stepped forward, 3 measured strides. Is that right? His gaze traced vests, belts, boots, cataloging imperfections. Interesting kit, he said mildly. Those vests? Chinese knockoffs? See the shoulder stitching already failing. Dean shifted. Wait, suddenly inconvenient. Lydia clicked forward. Mr. Lawson, she said, cordiality stretched thin. These gentlemen are authorized by the HOA to keep us safe. Your son was uncooperative over simple identification. Authorized by whom? Raymond's tone stayed even, his eyes hardened. Because those badges, missing the holographic overlay, and that font, nowhere near regulation. Roy finally let go, backing half a step. Listen, buddy. Not your buddy, Raymond cut in. And that radio? Solid plastic antenna. Party store special. He nodded toward their pickup down the block. Like your magnetic door decals, already peeling. Zion backed his bike, putting space between himself and their unraveling theatrics. He'd watched his father work at school career day once. This was different. This was home. Lydia's pink cheeks flared nearly crimson. Mr. Lawson, she pushed, smile gone brittle. They're volunteers assisting security. Those vests say community enforcement designed to mimic law enforcement, Raymond replied, voice dropping. That's intentional confusion. That isn't poor judgment, it's a federal issue. Dean's hand fell from his belt. Worry rippled where coldness sat earlier. We were hired, Roy protested, edges dulled, to do a job. The HOA president hired you to intimidate residents, Raymond said, advancing another step, to harass a teenage boy biking home, to impersonate lawful authority. Lydia's mask cracked. Irritation hardened into unmistakable hostility. You can't just. I can, Raymond said softly. And will. He let it land. 22 years with the FBI, 16 in counterintelligence. I've spent my career dismantling counterfeit power. He looked from Roy to Dean. Impersonating law enforcement is a federal crime. Are you very sure you want to press this luck? Silence flooded in, dense and charged. Zion felt his pulse dial down as his dad stood rooted, presence expanding until the street's balance flipped. Lydia's nails bit crescents into her palms. The men seemed smaller inside their cosplay armor, bravado shedding like a poorly fitted costume slipping loose. The same guys who caged him minutes ago now looked eager to vanish. Real authority isn't costume, the moment seemed to say. It's competence and certainty. Pride and relief mingled in Zion's chest, replacing fear's raw buzz. His dad, steady, unblinking, showed what strength looked like without theatrics or threats. Lydia's voice sharpened, bouncing down manicured driveways. I have the authority to keep this neighborhood safe, she declared. The board gave me full discretion. Curtains twitched, doors cracked, porches claimed witnesses. Your authority doesn't include hiring thugs, Raymond replied evenly. This is still America. We have laws. Roy and Dean kept backing off, egos deflating by the step. They shot Zion's sour looks, but stayed distant. Now their mask had slipped. Hands hovered near fake badges, clinging to the last threads. Carter! No, Lawson! Mr. Whitaker called from across the street, thin frame rigid, voice papered with disapproval. Lydia's maintaining standards, he cried, age-sharpening indignation. We've had incidents. Incidents, Raymond repeated. pivoting slightly while keeping Roy and Dean in peripheral focus. The kind that started right after we moved in? Mr. Whitaker flushed. That's not. It is, said another voice, accented and firm. Mrs. Camilla Delgado stepped from her porch, silver hair catching late light. Let's speak plainly. Nobody asked you, Camilla, Lydia snapped. I'm answering anyway, Mrs. Delgado said, walking down her drive, sensible shoes whispering on concrete. I've watched you target the Lawsons since day one. Grass too high, basketball disturbances, transparent, petty surveillance. We have standards, Lydia insisted, voice trembling with rage. This is a respectable neighborhood. Was, Mrs. Delgado agreed, until you hired pretend police to intimidate children. More neighbors drifted out, some nodding with Delgado, others clustering around Lydia, muttering about safety. Roy cleared his throat. We don't want trouble, he offered weakly. You should have considered that before the costumes, Raymond said. Leave now, or I call actual law enforcement and discuss your impersonation hobby. The men retreated toward their pickup, boots scuffing pavement, dignity leaking. Outrageous, Lydia sputtered, hair loosening with her composure. Mr. Whitaker, you're on the board. Tell them about complaints. Whitaker shifted, uncomfortable. There have been concerns about certain elements. Say what you mean, Mrs. Delgado challenged. I've lived here 15 years. Certain elements started exactly when the Lawsons arrived. Lydia jabbed a manicured finger at Raymond. You think your federal background makes you untouchable? You don't belong. None of you do. This neighborhood has traditions, standards, prejudices, Mrs. Delgado cut in. Values, Lydia shrieked, veneer finally stripped. And I'll protect them. This isn't over. Lawson Raymond's expression didn't flicker. You're right, he said. It isn't. But the ending won't look how you imagine. He touched Zion's shoulder. Inside, son. As they walked, Zion glanced back. Lydia thumbed her phone quickly, a smile slithering across her face despite humiliation. She caught his look and widened it into something predatory. Clusters dissolved to whispers. Some neighbors shook heads. Others lingered, trading takes. Mrs. Delgado watched Lydia carefully, arms crossed, jaw set. Thank you, Camilla, Raymond called. She nodded. Should have spoken sooner, she replied. Mr. Whitaker slammed his door, the echo scolding the quiet street. Roy and Dean's truck roared, tires squealing a touch for show as they fled. Zion pushed his bike up the drive, normal motions feeling strangely theatrical after chaos. The kitchen smelled gloriously of Monica's lasagna, but nobody tasted much. Monica stood by the counter in navy scrubs, hands flat on granite. Her eyes blazed as Raymond finished recounting. They put hands on our son, she said, voice trembling. Those wannabes grabbed my boy. Zion nudged pasta without appetite. Dad handled it, he offered. Made them look ridiculous. That's not the point, Monica said, palm slapping the counter. They could have hurt you. What if your father hadn't arrived? What if... She stopped, composing herself as tears threatened. Raymond set his fork down. Angela. No, Monica, sit, please. Strategy now. Strategically? She scoffed. Like we were strategic moving here, checking crime stats, schools, safety. She air quoted the last word. Zion's fork clattered. Maybe we should move. No, Raymond said, quiet but final. We're not running. That's her plan. Then what? Zion asked, frustration finally breaking the surface. What about next time? What if they press harder? What if they corner me alone? Monica reached across, squeezing his hand. We won't let that happen. Your mother's right, Raymond said, but we will be smart. Lydia isn't random. Today was a probe, testing response, gauging boundaries. Monica's jaw clenched. And how should we respond? She demanded. Because I want to march over and show her what happens when she threatens my child. Zion almost smiled, his mom healing by day, fierce when needed. We document everything, Raymond said, standing. Every incident, interaction, witness. We build a case. Just like work? Like your old cases? Zion asked. He'd heard fragments about federal life. Raymond rarely detailed them. Exactly. Raymond disappeared, returning with a worn leather briefcase Zion had never noticed. He placed it carefully on the table, clicked it open, and set his retired badge down with a heavy, unmistakable clink. The metal caught overhead light, still bright after years. Next came neat file stacks, corners pristine. Old case examples, Raymond said. Zion reached, but Raymond nudged his hand away. Illustrations of building evidence against the untouchable, people insulated by money or connections. They were wrong. Monica touched a folder edge thoughtfully. You think we can win this legally? I know we can, Raymond replied. Lydia crossed a bright line, harassment into criminality. Those men impersonated officers. That's federal turf. Will anyone care? Zion asked softly, the weight of disappointments humming. Mrs. Delgado cares, Raymond said. Others will, once there's structure, evidence, documentation, an undeniable pattern. Monica straightened, nurse practicality resurfacing. I'll log every exchange, dates, times, witnesses. Good, Raymond nodded. Zion, keep your phone on you. Record confrontations if safe. Safety first. What about Lydia's calls? Zion remembered her smirk. We'll find out, Raymond said. People like her leave trails? Monica traced the badge edge, nostalgia and steel mixed. Haven't seen this in years. Didn't think I'd need it again, Raymond admitted. Maybe I kept it to remember. Justice doesn't retire. Zion looked at badge, files, determined faces. Fear shifted, still present, now shaped by purpose. So we fight? Yes, all three said together, and managed a real smile. Morning dew hadn't burned off when Zion stepped out for the paper. Muscles still sore from practice. He froze. Bright orange HOA notice taped brazenly to their door. Official stock. Lydia's looping signature. Notice of violation, the header shouted. Itemized gripes followed. Grass height exceeds regulated 2 inches by approximately 0.75 inches. Trash receptacles visible from street outside designated windows. Unapproved vehicle, bicycle, stored in visible location. You've got to be kidding, Zion murmured. He'd measured the lawn 2 days ago with the gauge Raymond bought specifically for compliance. The trash can sat exactly where allowed, flush to the garage wall. The screen door creaked. What's that? Monica asked, coffee steaming in hand. Zion handed her the paper. Anger tightened her grip until it crinkled. Your father needs to see this, she said, voice clipped. He's in his office, already working. Raymond was awake, desk strewn with open files, laptop glowing with what looked like plat maps and property records. Started early? Monica asked, passing him the notice. Couldn't sleep, he admitted. He studied the sheet, expression steady. Time stamp, 6:45 a.m. She wanted it waiting. The lies aren't the point. The grass isn't long, Zion protested. And the bins. I know, Raymond said gently. This is her first official step, starting a paper trail. Monica crossed her arms. For what? To frame us as problem residents, he said. Stack violations, then justify escalation. Zion sagged against the wall, frustration tight. So what now? We document, Raymond said, heading outside with his phone. He photographed the lawn from angles, ruler and frame for height. He shot bin placement and Zion's bike in the garage. Time stamped everything, he explained. An engine's rumble lifted their eyes. A silver Mercedes crept past, deliberate. Lydia, unmistakable behind the wheel, waved with exaggerated sweetness. Monica moved, but Raymond caught her arm. Wait. He lifted his phone and snapped clear shots of car, driver, speed, her obvious surveillance. She noticed, smile faltered. Then she accelerated. That's harassment, Monica said. Plain harassment. Yes, Raymond said. Provable, too. Back inside, Raymond dialed. A sequence of calls. Zion tried homework, but tension threaded his father's voice thicker as minutes stacked. Come in, Raymond called finally, summoning them to the living room. His face was all hard lines. She filed a police report, he said. Claims Zion loitered suspiciously yesterday. She says he made threatening gestures toward authorized HOA security. Monica exploded. They weren't security. They were thugs she hired. I know, Raymond replied, calm to the point of frightening. I spoke to the desk officer. They're treating her complaint seriously given her position here. But that's absurd, Zion said, chest tight. You were there. You saw everything. And my statement is in the record, Raymond said, pacing, something Zion rarely saw. They're not interested. The officer suggested Zion avoid certain areas in his own neighborhood. Monica's outrage hissed. The one we pay taxes in, the one where we own our home. It gets worse, Raymond said. She's been busy. She collected signatures claiming suspicious youth activity and wants increased security, regular patrols. By those fakes? Zion asked Small. She learned, Raymond said. She's pivoting to off duty officers moonlighting, funded by HOA dues. Monica slumped. She's gaining support. People believe her. Some do, Raymond said. Others are afraid to oppose her. But that's not the point. Then what is? Zion asked. Raymond stopped pacing, looking like stories Zion had pieced together about counterintelligence. Cold, methodical. This isn't harassment anymore, he said. This is a campaign. And she's wildly underestimating. Her opponent fluorescent lights buzzed at the station as Raymond stood at the front desk, posture straight as parade rest. The officer typing barely looked up. 2 men impersonated law enforcement, you said. Correct, Raymond replied. Counterfeit gear labeled community enforcement. They tried to detain my 17-year-old. The officer finally glanced up, expression patronizing. And this was in your HOA community? Public street within it, Raymond said. Irrelevant to impersonation. If the HOA hired private security, they didn't, Raymond cut in, sliding photos forward. Roy Talbot and Dean Mercer have no licenses. Badges fake. Decals magnetic. The officer peered without touching. Mr. Lawson, Mrs. Whitfield says it was a misunderstanding. Overenthusiastic volunteers. Neighborhood Watch doesn't cosplay arrest powers, Raymond said, voice sharp and steel. And Lydia has no authority to. Mrs. Whitfield is respected, the officer emphasized, pointed. She works with our department. No criminal intent. Per her, maybe your son misread their approach. Raymond leaned in slightly. I was there, he said. 22 years FBI. This exact pattern. Then you understand, the officer interrupted. Best handled inside the community. He pushed photos back. I'll file your report. Don't expect much, the keyboard resumed, tap tap closing the door. At Cedar Ridge High, Zion picked at lunch, cafeteria hum off key. Glances skittered his way, then retreated behind whispering palms. Yo, said a low voice. Trevor from the team slid in, uncomfortable. You okay? Why wouldn't I be? Trevor scanned the room, then leaned close. Emergency HOA meeting. My mom's on it. Zion's stomach tightened. What kind? They're brainstorming ways to force your family out, Trevor whispered. Stack violations, price you out. From 2 tables over, fragments. Trouble? Property values? Not our kind? Zion stood abruptly. Chairs scraped, heads popped, then ducked. His half-eaten food cooled, suddenly impossible to swallow. The rest of the day blurred. Every whisper sounded like his name. Every stare felt edged. When the final bell rang, his shoulders were wired tight. He took the long way home, skirting Lydia's street. Pulling into the driveway, his stomach dropped. Another notice taped to the door. Red envelope. Inside, Monica was home early, still in scrubs, holding an identical red envelope already opened. You saw it? She asked. What's it say? She unfolded the letter, hands shaking. Non-compliant recreational equipment, she read. Your basketball hoop exceeds height guidelines, creates unsightly street view. Remove within 48 hours or face fines, potential liens. We've had that hoop for months, Zion protested. Nobody cared. Of course not, Monica said bitterly, because before they weren't trying to. She stopped, catching his gaze. How was school? They know, he said. Everyone's talking about pushing us out. Monica flushed, stared at the letter, then ripped it clean. Halves became quarters, then confetti. Red scraps drifted into the trash like an angry snowfall. Enough! She shouted, voice cracking. She thinks she can bully us, threaten my kid, turn neighbors against us? She slammed the lid. We're not removing anything. Not one bolt. Mom, Zion said softly. She has no idea. No, baby, she said, hugging him hard. This is our home. We earned it. No small-minded tyrant is driving us out. Holding him at arm's length, eyes blazing. Your father has his plan. I have mine. She picked the wrong family to corner resolve, shone like tempered glass. Morning heat pressed down as Zion checked the mailbox. He heard shuffling next door, Mr. Whitaker riffling envelopes, muttering just loud enough. Always trouble since they arrived. Property values slipping. Neighborhood declining. Zion kept his jaw set. Ignore him, came a gentle voice. Mrs. Delgado approached, little dog prancing at heel. Whitaker snapped his box shut and stormed inside, grumbling. Thank you, Zion said quietly, pulling more red envelopes, stomach tightening. Mrs. Delgado touched his arm. I taught here 30 years, she said. I've seen Lindas come and go. They bully until exposed. They always overplay their hand. Always. Sometimes it feels like everyone's against us, Zion admitted. Not everyone, she said. Not close. Lydia called a community meeting tonight, pushing new rules. She'll discover silence isn't consensus. That evening, the community center buzzed. Lydia stood polished at the lectern. Roy and Dean lounged by the door, trying intimidation again. Zion sat between his parents near the back. Mrs. Delgado perched several rows up, posture straight, eyes alert. Mr. Whitaker clustered up front with Lydia's circle, glancing back occasionally. Thank you for coming, Lydia trilled. Urgent changes to protect standards. Raymond slid his phone out, thumb tapping record. First, Lydia said, stricter height enforcement for outdoor equipment, basketball hoops, play sets, any unsightly street view must go. Murmurs rippled. A young mother raised a hand. But my kid's swing set? Existing structures will be grandfathered, Lydia cut in. This targets newer residents. Raymond's phone captured every targeted syllable. No street parking between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., Lydia went on. No gatherings of more than 3 non-resident youth without HOA approval, mandatory street-facing security cameras, and a new approval committee for paint, landscaping, lighting, and cameras. Mrs. Delgado's hand shot up. Who's on this committee exactly? The board will select qualified residents, Lydia purred. People who understand standards? You mean your loyalists, Mrs. Delgado said crisply. Lydia's smile tightened. We're protecting values and safety. Surely we all want that. Her eyes slid to the Lawsons. Unless some folks have something to hide. Monica rose halfway, Raymond's hand anchored. Security expansion, Lydia continued, will enlarge our enforcement team. You mean the fakes who grabbed my son? Monica's voice cracked the room. Lydia flushed. Our volunteers, illegally impersonated officers, Raymond said, calm cutting through chaos. Heads turned. A misunderstanding, Lydia snapped. If certain people cooperated instead of causing trouble. What trouble exactly? Mrs. Delgado stood. Being black on their own street? Noise exploded. Whitaker's group cried about property values and standards. Others bristled at obvious targeting. Order! Lydia pounded the lectern. This is why we need stricter rules. Our community is under threat by those who reject our values. Your values, Mrs. Delgado said, not ours. These rules stand, Lydia declared. The board already approved them. This meeting is a courtesy, really? Raymond asked, voice steady. Bylaws require a community vote for new spending, and security isn't in the budget. Lydia's face twisted. We have discretionary funds, she snapped, which can't be used without membership approval, Mrs. Delgado added. I can still read a budget. More voices joined. Questions about cost, process, discrimination. Lydia's defenders got louder, brittle. Roy and Dean shifted by the door, postures collapsing as the room grew skeptical. Through the chaos, Raymond's recorder never wavered. Afternoon heat blazed when Zion wandered toward the community pool, seeking water to unknot nerves after a morning run. His blue membership card dampened in his palm. Mrs. Perkins, one of Lydia's friends, nudged a companion. Both watched over sunglasses. Kids from school whispered at the shallow end. Zion walked to an empty chair, head high. Excuse me, said a thin man in a polo stitched with POOLMANAGER. EVAN, read his tag. Membership card, Zion handed it over. Evan squinted, then sighed. I'm sorry, this card's been revoked. Heads lifted like prairie grass in synchronized curiosity. That's impossible, Zion said, too sharp. We paid our dues. Evan shifted. Orders from the HOA. Your family's privileges suspended pending review of multiple violations. Heat crawled Zion's neck. What violations? I just follow orders, Evan said, staring past Zion. You'll need to leave. Mrs. Perkins didn't bother hiding satisfaction. Kids hushed to watch. This is ridiculous, Zion said. Evan flicked eyes toward the lot where Roy's truck idled. Should I call security? The implication was clear as a siren, the message clearer. You're unwelcome. Zion backed toward the gate, controlled steps masking humiliation burning like a furnace. The latch clanged shut. Roy revved the engine as Zion passed, a wordless flex. Zion didn't break stride. Around the corner, out of sight, he finally exhaled and let his shoulders sag. Being treated like an outsider on his own block tasted metallic and old. He kept walking. That night, Raymond's study door clicked closed. Keystrokes hummed for hours. Restless, Zion knocked. Come in, Raymond said. Screens washed his glasses with light. Windows open across social media, news clippings, forums. What are you on? Remember how I said Roy and Dean weren't random? Raymond asked. I was right. He pointed at a cached page. Roy and Dean posing in tactical gear with a bigger crew. Banner, Sentinel Patriots League, Texas Division. Militia, Raymond said. They claim community defense. Really vigilantes on contract, handling problems neighborhoods don't want to own. Zion swallowed. Like us? Like anyone they think doesn't belong. They market plausible deniability, Raymond continued, voice tight. Outsource intimidation, appearances to shield liability. Lydia didn't stumble into them. She sought them out. Zion's jaw clenched. What now? We widen the lens, Raymond said. Follow money, messages, meetings. She's building a coalition. We'll build one louder, lawful, undeniable dawn bled into a day of calls. Raymond contacted a civil rights attorney he respected, an investigative journalist who owed him, and a neighbor volunteer wary of Lydia's tactics. We need records, bylaws, budgets, contractor invoices, he said. Sunlight first. Zion photographed every notice and logged each petty encounter precisely. Monica compiled her own ledger, dates, times, details, who said what, where, and how. Paper beats rumor, she told Zion. Patterns beat spin. Mrs. Delgado recruited 3 parents, angry about the youth gathering rule. They're not quiet anymore, she said on Raymond's porch. Lydia thinks dissent equals disorder. Mistake midday, a thick packet, hit their mail slot, another violation stack. Raymond smiled without mirth. Good justiciaring, he said. Overreach writes our exhibit list. He scanned for inconsistencies, found duplicate timestamps, misapplied clauses, sloppy math. She's rushing. Zion highlighted contradictions. Monica cross-referenced dates with photos. Each discrepancy slid into a growing binder. That evening, a neighbor DM'd Zion screenshots of a group chat titled Keep Willow Creek Safe. Lydia's messages pulsed. Document everything. Call if you see youth lingering. Don't confront. Notify me. Roy chimed in with discreet solutions. Names Zion recognized peppered the thread, including Whitaker. Screenshots joined the case file. Next morning, Raymond filed a formal complaint with the state private security regulator. Names, photos, gear details, vehicle plate, copy of the community enforcement vests. He added a memo on misleading insignia designed to evoke police authority. Bureaucracy crawls, he told Monica, but regulators hate impersonation. It stains their uniforms. Lydia doubled down. A glossy HOA newsletter hit every porch, language about preserving charm, consistent aesthetics, preventing blight, youth loitering, photographs cropped cleverly, bikes, backpacks, hoodies, never faces, always mood. That's messaging for donors, Raymond said, and cover for action. Monica penned a measured rebuttal, warm, meticulous, unflinching. She cited bylaws, quoted fair housing statutes, and invited parents to a backyard lemonade hour to discuss new youth restrictions. Mrs. Perkins sniffed at passersby. Teenagers snickered. Monica kept smiling and stapling invites. Kind beats spin, she told Zion. But kindness with receipts? That's unstoppable. Zion made extra copies. At the station, Raymond's impersonation complaint got a case number. Small movement, still movement. Follow up within 10 business days, the clerk said. We'll take it. Raymond filed a public records request for Lydia's police communications, emails, call logs, meeting minutes mentioning security. Paper trails, he said. They always brag somewhere. That night, flyers appeared on street lamps. Community Safety Forum. Lydia's logo perched above bullet points about patrol partnerships and youth accountability. She's pivoting to legitimacy, Raymond said. We'll bring sunlight. He texted the journalist, You like stories where little tyrannies unravel? Come Wednesday. A thumbs up bubbled back. Wednesday, the forum swelled. Off-duty officer sign-ups sat near the door. Lydia glided between donors. Laughter practiced. The journalist took a back seat with a small camera. Raymond recorded again from the aisle. Zion stayed quiet, scanning faces, reading temperature. Monica chatted sincerely with a cluster of uneasy parents. Lydia opened with polished slides, graphs of incidents, vague heat maps, anecdotes about vandalism. Questions began. Why are most photos of backpacks? Who approves surveillance cameras? How are off-duty officers trained for HOA work? Lydia smiled answers that said little. The journalist scribbled. Raymond noted each evasion. Another breadcrumb for later. Afterward, Mrs. Delgado cornered Lydia. Explain newer resident grandfathering, she said, voice calm. Sounds like discrimination. Lydia's smile frosted. It's about consistency. Consistency applied selectively, Mrs. Delgado replied. We see you. Parents drifted to the Lawsons' lemonade table, whispering frustration. Lydia watched, jaw tense, knuckles pale. That weekend, Lydia's supporters staged a cleanup day. They photographed lawns, fences, peeling paint, anything fixable, but only at newer addresses. The optics were neighborly, the aim targeted. Raymond filmed from the sidewalk and said nothing. Patterns, not shouting, he told Zion. Juries love patterns more than speeches. Sunday church friends visited. One was a real estate attorney. He skimmed the binder, impressed. Selective enforcement's your anchor, he said. Tie it to protected class discrimination, add impersonation, then retaliation. That's a cocktail judges understand. Raymond nodded. We're nearly there. Monica passed lemonade, smile stainless as steel. Monday, envelopes arrived. Board hearing for the hoop, the grass, the bins. Perfect, Raymond said. We'll bring witnesses. Mrs. Delgado offered to attend. 2 parents volunteered. We'll make them say the quiet parts out loud, Monica said. On the record. Zion rehearsed calmly, describing Roy and Dean's street corner cage. Tuesday morning, Zion found chalk arrows near their curb, all pointing inward. Juvenile, he muttered. Monica photographed, time-stamped, then hosed the chalk away, slow and deliberate. Whitaker watched from his window, blinds barely parted. Document and dignify, Monica said. Every provocation is another brick in their wall. And ours. That afternoon, a cop idled near the park. Zion detoured, nerves buzzing. Our son shouldn't feel hunted in his neighborhood, Monica said later, voice tight. He won't, Raymond replied, because we're changing the rules by using the rules. She picked the wrong battlefield. He emailed the journalist another timeline. That evening, Zion jogged past Roy's truck parked by the clubhouse. Dean leaned against it, scanning passers-by like a rent-a-predator. Zion kept pace even, face unreadable. Don't feed them, Raymond had said. Make them blink first. Dean smirked at nothing in particular. Zion's steady cadence refused the bait. On Thursday, the blogger posted HOA security or vanity patrol. Photos of vests, the plastic radio, Lydia's forum slides, and quotes from parents filled the piece. Comments exploded, half cheerleading, half cringing. The regulator emailed Raymond, "We are reviewing. Please provide additional documentation." He sent more, with timestamps and captions. Friday, the hearing packed tight. Lydia sat flanked by Whitaker and two board loyalists. Monica, Raymond, Zion, Mrs. Delgado, and two parents filled the opposite table. Raymond placed the badge down, not to flex, but to frame the conversation. Eyes widened, then narrowed. He began, steady, precise, unhurried. We're here about selective enforcement, impersonation, and retaliation, Raymond said. We have dates, minutes, recordings. Mrs. Delgado read bylaws aloud, her voice teacher clear. Monica described the pool incident. Zion calmly recounted the sidewalk grip. A loyalist bristled. This is about safety. Safety for whom? Monica asked. And from whom? Lydia's smile tightened to a seam. We're restoring standards. By grandfathering your friends and punishing newcomers? Mrs. Delgado asked. By hiring cosplay cops? The room shifted. A board member cleared his throat. We should table this, he muttered. No, Whitaker snapped. We vote. He regretted it immediately. Raymond slid the phone across, playing Lydia's newer residents only line from the meeting. Cracks spidered through the board's composure. We'll seek outside counsel, one said. Wise, Raymond replied. We've already spoken to ours. The journalist's tiny camera light winked from the back row, like a conscience with receipts. Afterward, in the parking lot, Roy and Dean loitered in their truck. Evan, the manager, waved, awkward. Mrs. Perkins glared. The journalist approached. There's a bigger story, isn't there? Much bigger, Raymond said. We're almost ready. Call me, she replied. I like dominoes. Lydia watched from her Mercedes, calculating. Saturday morning, Zion tried the pool again, more for proving a point than swimming. Evan swallowed hard. Card still suspended, he said. I'm sorry. I know, Zion said, calm. Roy's truck rumbled. You doing okay, kid? Evan whispered. Zion looked at him. I'm not your kid. I'm a resident. He left before the performance escalated. At home, Raymond had mapped a network, board donors, vendors, a landscaping company owned by Whitaker's cousin, invoices double charged. Follow the money, he murmured. Her crusade isn't just prejudice, it's profit. Monica shook her head. Snake oil with bylaws, she said. Let's drain the barrel. Sunday, Mrs. Delgado hosted a backyard potluck. Kids laughed, parents strategized. We'll call our relatives on the board, someone offered. Another volunteered to canvass with copies of bylaws. Zion poured lemonade, shoulders finally loosening. Community works both ways, Monica whispered. She centralized fear. We're decentralizing courage. Monday dawned with another packet. Thicker, louder, sloppier. Raymond smiled. Desperation writes loudly, he said. He highlighted contradictions like a conductor flicking cues. Zion assembled side-by-side photo spreads. Grandfathered yard swings tolerated, their identical hoop targeted. The binder's spine creaked under evidence weight, inches of quiet, coiled power. Late that night, the study door clicked again. Come in, Raymond said when Zion knocked. Monitors glowed with a dozen tabs, cached militia pages, donor lists, HOA newsletters, legal citations. They're organized, Raymond said. So are we. He gestured Zion closer. A general briefing, a lieutenant. Time to widen pressure. Zion stepped around the desk. Multiple windows displayed social profiles, news clippings, forum threads. Remember my hunch about Roy and Dean? Raymond asked. Connected. He clicked a tab. The photo reappeared, Roy and Dean in matching kits, grinning among a larger crew, banner arcing bold above their heads. Sentinel Patriots League, Texas Division, the header read. A militia, Raymond said. They sell community defense, deliver vigilante intimidation, contract services for neighborhoods with problems. His mouth curved, not smiling. Like us, Zion said quietly. Raymond nodded once. Like anyone who doesn't fit. Now we know the ecosystem. Raymond clicked through more tabs. Their public brand looked polished, but private boards told another story. Lydia hadn't hired random security. She'd tapped a like-minded network. Zion leaned in, scanning posts cloaked as property values and standards, barely hiding exclusion. Check this, Raymond said. He opened payment trails. The security vendor, Lydia retained, was a shell. Paperwork routed back to the militia's leadership. How'd you trace it? Zion asked. Raymond's mouth twitched. With 22 years in counterintelligence, encrypted chats and burner accounts still bleed crumbs if you know angles. They think they're clever, he murmured, eyes hardening in screen blue. But threads always show if you tug correctly. He scrolled to files. Roy Talbot and Dean Mercer using multiple aliases, linked to 3 other neighborhood enforcement incidents this year. Same intimidation choreography, same fake authority, same ends. Raymond's fingers flew. Documenting. They cosplay hunters, he said quietly, forgetting some of us actually learned to hunt back. His voice dropped to a whisper as evidence stacked. Now I know who you are. Zion watched, pride and worry braided tight, feeling the scope widen beyond one HOA feud. The pool humiliation still stung, but it seemed to catalyze something larger. His dad wasn't sparring with Lydia anymore. He was unspooling a whole ecosystem of hostility hidden behind bylaws and bargain badges. The following evening, Zion rolled the heavy trash bin toward the curb. Promise kept. Street lights combed long shadows across their lawn. Cicadas buzzed in the humid dark. Practice aches tugged at his legs, but Wednesday meant garbage night. The bin's wheels rattled along the side yard. A twig snapped behind him. Before he could turn, rough hands slammed his shoulders sideways. Evening troublemaker? Roy breathed. Vest pressed into Zion's back, reeking of sweat and smoke. Dean slid into view, sealing the exit. Lydia says you're not getting the message. His voice was lower, but no less sharp, menace riding the edges like a drawn blade. Zion's heart pounded. He shoved back, but Roy's grip locked iron. Get off me. Or what? Roy twisted his arm high. Gonna cry for daddy? Dean stepped closer. You don't belong. Leave quietly, or... He cracked his knuckles. Promise, not threat. Fear and anger tangled. Zion chased his father's mantra. Breathe, think, act. But panic fogged it. He drove his heel back, catching Roy's shin. Roy cursed, yanking harder. Pain flashed hot through Zion's shoulder. Bad choice, Roy snarled. Dean's fist buried in Zion's gut, stealing air. The world tunneled and pulsed. Not so tough now, Roy grunted, shoving his face into the fence. Splinters bit his cheek. Breath idled ragged. This wasn't about scaring him anymore. They intended real harm. Help! He found his voice shouting. Dean's palm mashed over his mouth. Shut up! Zion bit down, hard. Dean yelped, jerking back. Roy spun Zion and slammed him again. Stars sprayed behind his eyes. You little... Roy drew his fist. Hey! A voice rang across the street. What are you doing? Porch lights flicked alive. Doors banged. Mrs. Delgado, robe tied, phone already dialing. Mister. Two. Chen from next door rushed, shouting. Roy dropped Zion, who crumpled, vision swimming as the men sprinted for their truck. Call the police, someone yelled. Zion! His mother's voice cut through, Monica spilling from the house. Oh, God! He tried to rise. Everything trembled, hurting. Monica reached him first, dropping to her knees. Baby, what did they do? Her hands fluttered over his face and arms, cataloging injuries. Blood salted his tongue from the split lip. His shoulder screamed where Roy torqued it. Each breath stabbed his ribs where Dean's punch landed viciously. I'm okay, he managed, voice shaky and thin. Neighbors clustered. Mrs. Delgado knelt beside Monica, phone pinned to her ear. Police and ambulance are coming. Those men, Mr. Chen said tightly, same fakes as before. Monica wrapped Zion carefully, tremor of rage underneath. They could have killed him. Zion leaned into her, too spent to feel self-conscious about tears. Adrenaline ebbed, leaving cold shivers despite heat. Red-blue lights wound closer, cutting the dark with urgency. Someone brought a lawn chair. Monica helped Zion sit. Everything ached. Anyone get the plate? A neighbor asked. I got photos, another replied, breathless. Them sprinting. Zion closed his eyes, letting the voices wash over. People who'd watched silently before were suddenly outraged, helpful. It shouldn't take violence to wake folks up, he thought. But at least blindness had cracked, and light was spilling. Monica hadn't stopped crying. Warm drops dotted his shoulder. He wanted to tell her it looked worse than it was, but words wouldn't form. Patrol cars rolled in, then the ambulance. Light washed the fence scuffs, the spilled bin, the smear of blood. Ordinary evening, abruptly, shattered. Paramedics approached briskly with bags and calm questions. Monica whispered, They're not getting away with this. Not this time, Zion believed her. The line had been crossed and burned. For the moment, though, all he could do was breathe through pain and let hands do their careful work. Fluorescence carved harsh angles in the ER. Zion sat on the exam table. The paper crinkled at shifts. Monica hadn't released his hand since intake, grip tightening whenever he flinched. Dr. Ortega palpated along his ribs. Zion hissed. Bruised, not fractured, she said, tapping notes. You're fortunate. Fortunate? Monica's voice cracked. Grown men jumped my 17-year-old. The doctor's expression softened. I'm documenting thoroughly. Bruising, shoulder strain, facial lacerations. We'll photograph everything. Across the room, Raymond paced near the door, phone to his ear, calm fraying. Yes, we'll press charges, he said, voice precise and controlled. 2 men assaulted my minor son. Multiple witnesses, vehicle photos, now medical corroboration, he said, pausing to listen. No, that won't suffice. I need a detective now. Dr. Ortega finished, stepped back. Good news, nothing broken. Bad, you'll be sore. I'll prescribe pain meds and anti-inflammatories. Zion nodded, drained. His shoulder blazed, his lip throbbed. The gown made him feel small. Monica brushed his hair, avoiding the tender spot. My baby, she whispered, fresh tears rising. Mom, I'm okay, he said, voice hoarse. The curtain rasped aside. An officer stepped in with a notebook. He looked older than the patrol guys, gray at the temples, a paunch straining his shirt. Evening, he said, tone casual to the edge of board. Tell me what happened. Raymond ended his call. Roy Talbot and Dean Mercer assaulted my son on our property. Witnesses, photos, medical documentation. The officer's pen moved lazily. You sure it wasn't a misunderstanding? Boys roughhousing? Monica stood so fast her chair scraped. Roughhousing? Look at my son. Ma'am, please, he said, palm up. Just gathering facts. Raymond's voice went quiet and edged. Facts. Weeks of harassment, culminating in a coordinated assault. Facts. Those men work with Lydia Whitfield, abusing her HOA perch to target us. Facts. You're minimizing the officer's mask hardened. Watch yourself. No, watch you, Raymond cut in. I did 22 years with the Bureau. Lydia's got friends downtown. That's why our earlier complaints disappeared. That's why you walked in to sand this down. The officer reddened. Serious accusation, Mr. Lawson. And assaulting a minor is a serious crime, Raymond countered evenly. It will be prosecuted, with or without your enthusiasm. Dr. Ortega cleared her throat. Officer, my notes reflect injuries consistent with assault. His pen scratched. I'll file it, but without clear intent. Intent? Monica stepped closer. They told him to leave the neighborhood. They threatened him. Witnesses heard Lydia named, Raymond added. This was orchestrated. The officer sighed, shut his notebook. I get you're upset, but these cases get complicated. If you want advice, talk to your HOA president. Neighbor to neighbor, Zion watched his father change, not to heat, but to winter. Raymond stepped between the officer and the bed, presence filling the room. Let me be crystalline, he said softly. I will assemble this case, one careful piece at a time. Every photo, statement, medical record, the pattern of harassment, fake reports, misused HOA funds to hire unlicensed security. When I'm finished, who Lydia knows won't matter. The officer hesitated. You threatening me, Mr. Lawson? I'm promising justice, Raymond said. Now properly take my son's statement or I'll call state police. The officer looked between them, then reopened his pad. Fine. Start from the beginning. As Zion recounted, Raymond kissed his forehead carefully. They picked the wrong family, he murmured, an oath disguised as reassurance. Zion leaned into that steadiness. For the first time since the alley, hope rose. The living room transformed overnight. Family photos yielded to timelines, photos, printed emails taped with blue painter's strips. The coffee table drowned under files, and a laptop spinning searches. Raymond stood centered, readers perched, connecting red string between faces. His retired badge gleamed on the table, quiet punctuation. Zion hovered in the doorway, bruises tender, pride swelling. This wasn't the quiet neighbor who fussed with tomatoes. It was the investigator who spent decades exposing grifts. Come here, Raymond said without looking up. Zion approached the evidence wall, truck photos, screenshots, financials scrawled with highlights, storylines weaving. See these statements? Raymond tapped a column. Lydia's skimmed HOA funds for years, small at first, bolder later, laundering through a sham landscaping outfit. How'd you get them? Members can inspect records. They make it obnoxious to discourage peeking. She relied on apathy. He moved to photos of Roy and Dean. Your attackers are in a local militia, he said. They brand as community defense. Lydia pays them off books with HOA money, calling it security. A chill ran Zion's spine, imagining those hands again. So wannabe soldiers? Dangerous cosplayers with real weapons, Raymond said, illegally deputized. That boomerangs. He pulled up a chair. Watch. The laptop split into windows, socials, business registries, property rolls. She sells perfection, he said, defender of values. But here, 3 civil suits from prior neighborhoods, quiet settlements, sealed, still leaves shadows. Zion leaned closer, fascinated by the way threads converged. Knowledge is leverage, Raymond said. They think controlling local pipes, the board, a couple cops, rumor networks, makes them untouchable. But paper whispers. Connections expose themselves. He flipped to another document. Her husband's firm landed every maintenance contract after her election. No bids, padded invoices. Classic kickback mechanics. Zion studied the wall anew. Each string a reveal inside a larger pattern. Abuse nested in aesthetics. Best part? Raymond's mouth tightened, pleased. She has no idea what's coming. Bullies forget, not everyone folds. Sometimes they corner the wrong person, wrong family, Zion echoed. Raymond squeezed his shoulder. Exactly. We're not just pushing back, we're exposing the whole machine. Discrimination, fraud, illegal force. He pointed to a diagram. Witnesses ready to speak. Misses. Delgado saw the assault. The Thompsons logged similar targeting. Even Mr. Chen, forced to strip cultural decorations, is done being quiet. Hope sparked bright. So we aren't alone. We never were, Raymond said. Fear just kept folks siloed. That's shifting. He thumbed the badge's edge. I thought I'd retired from fights like this, he said. But some battles find you. I'm sorry you had to, Zion murmured. Raymond's eyes warmed and steeled. Protecting you? Hunting justice. That's not burden, he said. It's fatherhood. Monica appeared with a tray and 3 coffees. She surveyed the mapped offensive, set cups down. Zion's was mostly cream, as he liked. Raymond's black. Monica laced fingers with Raymond and faced the wall like a declaration. And this, she whispered, voice carrying pain and resolve, is for all of us. Mrs. Delgado's hands trembled around her teacup, but her voice stayed clear at their dining table, now repurposed with a recorder and notepad. I've watched Lydia target families for years, she said. Yours is worst. Raymond nodded, notes precise. Tell me about last month's meeting. Lydia assumed I agreed with her, Mrs. Delgado said. She thinks I'm one of the acceptable minorities. She speaks freely near me. Monica squeezed her hand. Take your time. She said we need the right kind of neighborhood. She looked right at your house, Mrs. Delgado added, color rising. It's coded language, but clear. Raymond's pen stitched the record. And Roy? And Dean? They appeared after you moved in. She called them professional consultants. They stalked your son. They prowled your house. A knock interrupted. Monica answered. Mrs. Thompson stepped in. Young Mom, from 3 doors down. I saw Mrs. Delgado arrive, she said, nervous. I have something, too. Over the hour, neighbors trickled in. Mr. Chin brought notes about Lunar New Year harassment. The Patels described sudden party uninvitations. A pattern materialized, dressed as policy. Raymond recorded it all, jaw tightening as each story nested within the next. Then Mrs. Thompson made him sit forward. My husband's an accountant, she said, producing a folder. He noticed the security budget jumped 300%, no contract, no vote. Raymond spread spreadsheets like cards, eyes narrowing. May I keep these? That's why I brought them, she said. We're done being afraid. When the neighbors left, Raymond dove into numbers. Zion brought coffee, watched the machine hum. Look, Raymond said, pointing. Community Defense Solutions, LLC, just a P.O. box. HOA payments land, then route to personal accounts. Roy and Dean's payouts? Zion asked. Exactly. He opened another window. And that's the surface. Every maintenance line, every vendor. We can tie them to Lydia or her husband's outfits. Monica leaned in. How much? Conservative. 200 grand over 3 years. Keys clicked. She's gotten sloppy. Overconfidence breeds errors. Another file. She coordinated militia actions using HOA letterhead. False authority. That's federal mail fraud layered atop everything. What now? Zion asked. Raymond began collating financials, witness statements, photos, screenshots into a single, clean narrative. Now we show her to the people and the people to the law. Hours later, he stretched. Done. Monica and Zion hovered as he addressed one email to the FBI Public Corruption Unit, the state AG, 3 local TV stations, and 2 investigative reporters. Sending this draws a line, he said. She'll know it's us. Good, Monica said. Let her. Zion nodded. Do it. Raymond's finger hovered, then clicked, evidence streaking into inboxes primed for daylight. Now we wait, he said, closing the lid. By morning, her scaffolding starts to groan. Monica squeezed his shoulder. How fast? Media first, he said. They love suburban rot. Feds move slower, but deeper. Zion glanced at the wall, still plastered with receipts. Take it down. Not yet, Raymond said. Investigators will want eyes on it, and I want Lydia to see it when they show up. She needs to understand she never had a chance once she targeted this family. The digital clock blinked midnight. Across the city, inboxes settled, primed to erupt with the morning shift. Calm folded over the Lawson home, but not fear. They'd chosen truth, receipts, neighbor courage. Somewhere nearby, Lydia slept, smug and serene, unaware morning would kick out the foundation beneath her. The community center buzzed for an emergency HOA meeting. Lydia preened at the podium, pearls bright under humming lights. Predator's smile set. Raymond and Monica slipped in near the back. Zion's hands sweated, but his dad's quiet anchored him. Roy and Dean prowled edges in cosplay armor. I call this emergency meeting to order, Lydia chirped, gavel tapping. We face serious issues from disruptive elements. Her eyes speared the Lawsons. Raymond met them steadily. He checked his watch, gave the slightest nod. As president, preserving standards is my duty. I've documented violations and threatening behavior. She lifted a fat folder for show. The Lawson family has repeatedly. The front doors crashed open. 4 people in dark suits moved in, badges shining. The lead, a tall woman with steel gray hair, spoke cleanly. Lydia Whitfield, she said. I'm Special Agent Eliza Torres, FBI Public Corruption. Meeting suspended. Gasps whipped across the room. Lydia's face blanched, then hardened. This is private. You have no authority. We have federal warrants, Agent Torres said, nodding. 2 agents pivoted toward Roy and Dean, edging for exits. Roy Talbot, Dean Mercer, you're under arrest for impersonating law enforcement, mail fraud conspiracy, and civil rights violations. Roy feinted for the door, but an agent already blocked it. Dean's hands rose quickly, bravado collapsing. Handcuffs clicked in the hot, shocked quiet. Ridiculous, Lydia shrieked. They're legitimate contractors. Torres held up paperwork. We have evidence you built a sham vendor to funnel HOA funds to militia affiliates. We've been working this for weeks. Camera lights strobed as news crews pushed in, microphones lifted like pikes. Lydia sputtered, eyes darting, landing on the Lawsons. Understanding flashed. You, she hissed, you did this. Raymond's voice carried. You targeted my son. Did you think I wouldn't answer? Flashes punctuated her rage. Is this about missing maintenance money? Mr. Chen called, standing. Torres nodded. We're investigating roughly $200,000 misappropriated. If you have information on irregularities, stay and speak with us. Mrs. Delgado stepped beside the Lawsons, head high. I've got documentation of discriminatory practices back 3 years. So do we, Mrs. Thompson added, husband nodding. Lydia gathered papers, but an agent stopped her. Those stay, he said, potential evidence. The cameras feasted as Roy and Dean were marched past, vests suddenly ridiculous under bright lights. Lydia Whitfield, Torres recited, you have the right to remain silent. You can't do this, Lydia shrieked. I know people. I'll end your careers. Please keep threatening federal officers, Torres said calmly. We're recording. Zion watched, amazed, as cuffs wrapped Lydia's manicured wrists. The woman who'd terrorized him was being let out like any other defendant. Neighbors gravitated toward the Lawsons. Some apologized for silence. Others looked relieved. Her reign was crumbling. Mr. Whitaker slithered for the back. Dad, Zion whispered, you knew the timing? Raymond's smile was small. Agent Torres and I go back. Once we delivered the record, she ensured we'd witness accountability. A reporter approached, microphone extended. Mr. Lawson, harassment, selective enforcement, can you speak? Before Raymond replied, Mrs. Delgado stepped up. We'll tell you everything. All of us. It was time for the spotless facade to split in public. Through the windows, Lydia slid into a bureau sedan. Roy and Dean were already caged elsewhere. Cameras popped, cataloging the downfall, while Torres directed evidence collection. The meeting meant to crown Lydia instead unseated her and gave the neighborhood its first clean breath in months. Lydia's hair frayed as Torres spread documents across the podium. Harsh lighting, highlighting every bead of sweat dotting her brow. Bank statements show systematic theft. Torres said. Shell companies, fake invoices, direct payments to unauthorized security. Legitimate expenses, Lydia insisted, voice wobbling. Torres raised a thick folder. We also have evidence of coordinated harassment, civil rights violations, and a hate crime conspiracy. Your emails and texts, illuminating reading, Mrs. Whitfield color drained from Lydia's cheeks as Torres read aloud, Get them out. Whatever it takes, I don't care how. Just make them leave. Gasps stirred. Mrs. Thompson rose. You told me the Lawsons were under drug investigation. You lied, Mr. Chen said, face tight. You justified special patrols with fabrications. Lydia's eyes snapped everywhere. You don't understand. Property values were at stake. By stealing from us, Mrs. Delgado snapped, waving repair receipts. We paid for work never done. Pool renovation funds, someone shouted. Security cameras that never got installed, another added. Lydia's lacquered persona cracked, venom bleeding through the polish. Everything I did was for this place, she spat, jabbing toward the Lawsons. They don't belong. Not our kind, Booze rolled. Neighbor Zion, barely new, stood up. You said our family lowered the street's tone, Mrs. Patel called. My pride flag vanished after your complaint, Mr. Rodriguez added. Lydia's desperation surfaced. Roy and Dean were supposed to handle it. You mean terrorize a teenager? Torres cut in. Your contractors are tied to hate groups. You assumed we wouldn't notice? They came recommended, Lydia screeched. The Heritage Association promised help maintaining standards. Torres arched an eyebrow. Thank you. We're already scrutinizing them. Grievances poured out now. Intimidation, selective fines, petty vandalism. Threads slipped from Lydia's hands, unraveling her web. The board wasn't aware, Mrs. Chen said, standing HOA treasurer. She forged our signatures. We trusted her. Lydia's fingers strangled the podium. Ungrateful, she hissed. This was exclusive. Before Before what? Raymond asked, voice clean. He stepped forward with Zion beside him. Before families like mine moved in. Before control slipped. The room softened quiet, attention coalescing. Lydia's mask shattered. You ruined everything, she spat. This was perfect before you people. Mrs. Whitfield, Torres warned. Stop. You're compounding your situation. Lydia surged anyway, world collapsing. I had every right. I protected values. The board gave me authority to run an HOA, Raymond said evenly, voice carrying. Not a criminal syndicate. Not a terror campaign. Certainly not against my son. Zion stood taller. Fear evaporated as he watched power finally invert. You don't understand, Lydia pleaded. Everything was necessary. Necessary to embezzle, hire thugs, violate civil rights? Torres asked. Two agents flanked Lydia as she backed away. Faces that once warmed under her compliments now glared openly. This is your fault, she screamed at the Lawsons. I'll sue you. I know cops. No, Raymond said, quiet and final. You don't run this neighborhood anymore. Something in her broke. She lunged, nails like tiny knives. The agents caught her smoothly. Cuffs clicked again. How dare you? Don't you know who I am? I'm the president, she shrieked as applause swelled around her. Cheering rose from people who'd endured her rule. Mrs. Delgado theatrically dropped a dog-eared HOA rulebook into a trash can. This isn't over, Lydia screamed as she was steered out. You'll see. Her threats dissolved into garble as the door swung shut. Silence pooled, then murmurs of something like clarity. A week later, late sun poured long over Willow Creek as Zion headed home from practice. Bruises faded, memories stayed sharp. Yet the block felt different. Mr. Chin, watering roses, beamed. Great game. That fourth quarter three? Zion grinned. Half the street had come to cheer. Thanks. Roses look amazing. Farther down, Mrs. Thompson waved while unloading groceries. Tell your mama I've got that recipe. A street that once bristled now hummed warm. Kids roamed front lawns. Parents talked over fences. The cosplay truck was gone. Even Mr. Whitaker managed a stiff nod instead of his usual muttered prophecies. Mrs. Delgado rocked on her porch swing, grading papers. "There's our neighborhood hero," she called. "Over here, mijo." Zayan crossed the immaculate lawn Lydia loved to cite for imaginary violations. "How are you?" "Better since we cleaned house," she said, patting the swing. "Interim board met yesterday, rewriting bylaws." "Dad's helping?" Zayan asked, sitting. "He's a godsend," she nodded. "Oversight, transparency. But best part?" She gestured down the block. "Look." Zion watched the Rodriguez kids play pickup with the Patel twins. Mrs. Thompson shared groceries with Mr. Chen, two moving trucks unloaded, while neighbors brought baskets. "That's community," Mrs. Delgado said softly. "Not manicured sameness, but people tending each other." "Feels different," Zion admitted. "Like breathing easier." "That's courage," she said. "And you helped spark it." He flushed. "I was scared when they cornered me." "Bravery isn't absence of fear," she said. "It's movement, anyway." Down the block, his parents sat on their porch, Monica still in scrubs, tired but content against Raymond's shoulder. Guardian satisfied to see peace return. "I should head home," Zion said, standing. "Dinner's probably ready." "Always welcome here," she smiled. He took the last stretch, path newly reclaimed. His parents straightened as he approached, pride unmistakable. Monica opened her arms. Zion folded into the hug, unbothered about appearances. "Practice good?" Raymond asked, that steady tone that had faced down Lydia's storms. "Yeah, coach says I might captain next season." "Of course," Monica said. "You lead naturally, like your dad." Zion looked over their street in the softening dusk. Porch lights winked on, pooling warm halos. The basketball hoop stood unapologetic in the drive. Once a target, now a banner. "We didn't just survive them," he said, "and we changed everything." "The neighborhood is different," Raymond nodded. "You gave people a choice." "Fear keeps folks in bad current," he said. "One person steps out, others follow." Monica finished. "Delgado." "The Chens." Even Whitaker found his backbone. Jasmine scented the evening. The same vine Lydia once ordered them to cut back, now climbing freely, blossoms glowing like small moons along the porch posts. A flock of kids bicycled past, calling greetings. Laughter traveled unchecked, no arbitrary noise fines looming. Somewhere a backyard playlist floated mellow through leaves. "This finally feels like home," Zion said softly. Monica slid an arm around his shoulders. Raymond's hand settled solid on his knee. They watched the stars appear. They'd stepped into darkness and come out tempered. Porch light wrapped them in a quiet halo. For the first time since moving to Willow Creek, peace felt real and rooted. Not because they fled, but because they stood together and shifted the ground under a bully's feet. Agent Torres lifted another packet, pages clipped tight. "Email threads, text chains, calendar invites," she said. "Coordinated patrols, targeted complaints, selective citations." Lydia's smile calcified. The room leaned forward, breath held. Torres read, "Remove them, whatever it takes." The phrase hung like smoke nobody could swallow. Murmurs rolled. Mrs. Thompson stood, voice steady now. "You told us Zion's family was being investigated for drugs." Mr. Chen's jaw set. "You told me they were running a criminal ring." He pointed at Roy's empty chair. "That's why those patrols started, wasn't it?" Lydia's eyes flickered everywhere for rescue, and found none. "You don't understand the pressure," she said. "Property values." "You looted us," Mrs. Delgado snapped, lifting invoices. "Payments for jobs untouched." From the back. "Pool funds?" Another voice. "Cameras we paid for?" The facade broke. Raw cynicism peeked through. "Everything I did protected this place," Lydia insisted, stabbing a finger toward the Lawsons. "They don't belong." "They're not our kind," Booz thundered. Mrs. Patel rose. "You said my family lowered the street's tone." Mr. Rodriguez lifted a photo. "My pride flag vanished after your complaint. Coincidence, right?" "Roy and Dean were supposed to handle it," Lydia blurted. panic overtaking polish. Handle terrorizing a teenager? Torres cut in. Your contractor's linked to hate groups. You figured we wouldn't find that. They were recommended, Lydia snapped, by the Heritage Association. Torres smiled thinly. Helpful. They're already under review. Years of pent-up stories poured free. Selective fines, night letters, violation photos slipped under doors. Threads slid from Lydia's grip, web unraveling. We didn't approve any of it, Mrs. Chen said, rising. HOA treasurer. She forged signatures. We trusted her. Lydia clutched the podium like a sinking rail. Ungrateful, she hissed. This was an exclusive community. Before, before what? Raymond asked, voice clean as glass. He stepped forward with Zion. Before families like mine purchased homes. Before you couldn't choose your neighbors anymore. Silence thinned, sharp enough to cut, everyone watching the center line. Lydia's mask shattered. You ruined everything, she spat. It was perfect before you people. Mrs. Whitfield, Torres warned evenly. Every word digs deeper. Lydia surged, desperate to reclaim altitude. I had authority to manage an HOA, Raymond said, not run a criminal side hustle or terrorize my son. You don't get it, Lydia pleaded, sliding toward the room's edge. This was necessary. Necessary to embezzle, hire thugs, violate rights? Torres asked. Two agents flanked Lydia as she backpedaled. Faces once eager for her approval now looked tired, then angry. She pointed at the Lawsons. I'll ruin you. No, Raymond replied quietly. You don't run this street anymore. Something in her cracked, audible as a twig. Lydia lunged, nails flashing. The agents caught her fluidly. Cuffs clicked again. How dare you? I'm the president. Applause swelled, disbelief transforming into catharsis, the sound of a spell lifting. People clapped who'd never spoken at meetings. Mrs. Delgado dropped a dog-eared rulebook into the trash with theatrical grace. This isn't over, Lydia screamed while being steered out. You'll regret this. The doors thudded shut, her voice cut off like a faucet. What remained was stunned quiet and room to breathe. A week later, sun slanted warm across Willow Creek as Zion walked home from practice. Bruises faded to memory's map. Mr. Chen looked up from roses. That fourth quarter, 3 money, he said. Zion grinned. Half the block had cheered. Thanks. Your roses are show-offs today. Farther down, Mrs. Thompson waved. Car trunk open. Tell your mama I've got that casserole formula. The street, once bristling, felt unguarded. Kids squealed on lawns. Neighbors chatted across fences. No cosplay truck lurking. Even Whitaker attempted a nod, stiff but present, as if remembering how to be neighborly. Mrs. Delgado rocked on her porch swing, papers fanned beside her. Neighborhood hero, she called. Over here. Zion crossed the clipped lawn the old regime loved to cite. How's your heart? Lighter, she said, patting the swing. The interim board is rewriting bylaws so tyrants can't hide inside them. Dad's helping? He's a clinic, she smiled. Audit trails, term limits, spending oversight. But the best part, she gestured outward, the Rodriguez kids split teams with the Patel twins. Mrs. Thompson shared groceries with Mr. Chen, 2 moving trucks arrived, and baskets met them at the curb. That's what community means, she said. Not sameness, care. Feels like breathing right, Zion admitted. I was terrified when they jumped me. Bravery isn't the absence of fear, she said. It's doing the next right thing while your hands shake. He nodded, pocketing that line like a talisman. Down the block, Monica and Raymond sat on their porch. Scrubs, coffee, and contentment. Guardians, finally allowed to rest. Dinner's probably ready, Zion said, standing. Go, Mrs. Delgado smiled. And remember, you have 100 porches now. He took the last stretch home, footsteps steady on reclaimed ground. His parents rose as he climbed the steps. Monica opened her arms. Zion leaned in without worrying how it looked. Practice good? Raymond asked. Coach says I might captain, Zion said, settling between them. Of course, Monica said. You lead without shouting. That's rarer than points or rebounds. Dusk softened edges. Porch lights bloomed. Their hoop, once a pretext for fines, stood unbothered. A banner in aluminum and glass. We didn't just endure, Zion said. We shifted something. Raymond nodded. You showed people a door out of fear. They walked through. That's how tides turn, son. Delgado took the first step with you, Monica added. Then the Chins, even Whitaker. Jasmine perfumed the air. The vine Lydia once ordered hacked back, now free to climb. Its small stars glowed against the trellis, like proof that living things know which way light lives. A pack of kids pedaled past, calling names and plans. Laughter coasted without the threat of noise citations somewhere. A backyard playlist stitched through leaves. This finally feels like ours, Zion said. Monica tucked him closer. Raymond's palm anchored his knee. They watched the first stars take their posts. Inside, the war room was mostly decommissioned. Strings coiled, documents boxed, timelines archived. Not erased, preserved. Investigators want copies, Raymond said, and the interim board wants trainings on guardrails. Monica exhaled. Boundaries keep bullies from colonizing bylaws. Zion traced the badge case, feeling gratitude shaped like gravity. Think we'll be quiet now? Zion asked. Raymond smiled. Quiet isn't the target. Health is. Healthy things hum. Monica nodded. We garden roots, not optics. Zion pictured the street from above. Porches lit, kids weaving, someone waving, someone listening. An ecosystem recalibrating after a long fever breaks. Sunday potluck spilled across lawns, paper plates, borrowed chairs, overlapping stories. People who'd never traded 2 words compared recipes and repairs. Best attendance in years, Mr. Chin marveled. Mrs. Thompson laughed. Apparently, accountability increases appetite. Raymond raised lemonade. To good neighbors and long memory. Cups clinked like small bells. The journalist returned for follow-ups, camera gentler now. We'll cover policy reforms, not just the fireworks, she said. People need to see how victory sustains. Raymond walked her through oversight plans, while Monica introduced her to the teens' pickup league. Zion offered comments, then drifted back to the game. A state letter arrived. Regulators suspending the sham security outfit with language that sounded like a door and stair slamming permanently. They hated the fake badges, Raymond said. Uniforms are sacred to them. Monica smiled without sweetness. So is our front door. Zion thumbed the paper's raised seal, feeling something reset. News broke that the Heritage Association faced subpoenas. Turns out standards isn't a legal defense, the journalist quipped. Mrs. Delgado drafted a civics night. How to read budgets, file records requests, and spot weasel words. We'll host, Monica said. Bring cookies. Democracy improves with snacks. Whitaker stopped by, awkward, hat twisting. I was wrong, he said. Fear makes people mean. Raymond nodded once. Do better is the only apology that counts. Whitaker swallowed, eyes wet. I will. Zion held the door open, because that's how a neighborhood teaches itself the trick again. Coach pulled Zion aside after practice. Captain's yours if you want it. Not for points, for poise. Zion swallowed a grin. Yes, sir. He biked home past houses that now watched over, not through. Mrs. Thompson held up a pie. After dinner, she called. Celebratory carbs. Back on the porch, Raymond's phone buzzed. Agent Torres. We charged mail fraud, civil rights violations, conspiracy, she said. Your package helped. Team effort, Raymond replied, glancing at Monica and Zion. Ongoing. Long road, she said, but we're past denial. We'll keep receipts, he promised. You do your part. Evening melted toward night. The hoop's backboard caught porch light. The net whispered with a lazy breeze. Zion spun a ball on one finger, then banked a soft layup. Feels like breathing regular again, he said. Monica smiled. Regular's underrated. Raymond nodded. And rare. Guarded across the block, music drifted, low and kind. A grill hissed 2 doors down. Someone laughed that loud, contagious laugh everyone secretly hopes to catch. Zion leaned back, memorizing the soundscape. We made this, he said, together. We'll keep making it, Monica answered. Together's the engine. Stars multiplied overhead. The jasmine brightened white against the dark. Bikes clattered, then quieted. Porch lights pulled safety at driveways like small, steady lighthouses. Zion's eyes fluttered half closed. Home, he murmured. Raymond squeezed his shoulder once. Monica kissed his temple. 3 silhouettes, easy as breathing, faced the gentle street. If you vibed with their fight and heal arc, share this with someone who needs a nudge toward courage, and hit subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's twist. Meanwhile, I handpicked 2 follow-up tales you'll love. Take care out there, and keep your porch light on. Lesson quiet. Lawful power outlasts loud bullies. If you've lived long enough to remember block parties on cul-de-sacs and church potlucks in the fellowship hall, you also know this truth. Real authority doesn't shout, it shows its work. In Willow Creek, a teen on a bike met 2 men in bargain vests and a president who mistook control for community. What changed the tide wasn't a louder voice. It was receipts, dates, inches, bylaws, budgets, and neighbors willing to stand shoulder to shoulder. Raymond, a father seasoned by federal service, didn't trade insult for insult. He measured the lawn to the quarter inch, logged times to the minute, traced dollars to the penny, and invited witnesses to speak plainly. That steady cadence, document, organize, unite, turned fear into a file the law could not ignore. Many of us over 65 have seen this work before. From school boards to city halls, the paper trail is the quiet engine of justice. We don't have to sprint, we have to persist. Showing up, writing it down, asking for the vote the bylaws require, and keeping porch lights on for each other. In a nation of rules, counterfeit power eventually collides with the real thing: patient courage, neighbor care, and a ledger that tells the truth. That's how a street breathes easy again, and how grandchildren learn what belonging really means. Friends, I'd love to hear your wisdom. Have you ever faced counterfeit power, an HOA, a workplace supervisor, or a committee chair who tried to bluff authority? What quiet, lawful steps helped you push back, keeping notes, showing up with neighbors, asking for a proper vote, filing a clear complaint? Share your story in the comments so others can learn from you. If this lesson brought value, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss the next chapter. Your experience could be the nudge someone needs to protect their own porch light.